You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about Nevada. So, Lauren?
Yes, Kenzie?
Let's get scary.
So let me tell you my scary thing.
Okay.
So my car's been messed up.
Yes.
Very annoying. I had to take Joe's car to work today. Well, I thought he was going into work with his uncle. He went in late, so I happened to have my house key and his house key in my car.
Mm-hmm.
His car. So we didn't have a chance to lock the door when he left for work today. So he's like, okay, I can't lock the door. And I said, oh, because I even lock the door when I take Roy out for a 5-minute walk. My mom came and picked him up.
Oh.
So he was like, oh, so we don't have a key? I said, no, I thought you were going with your uncle. Why would I think my mom was coming to pick you up?
Right.
He works for my mom's company, that's why. So I get home, and I was like, oh, God, I have to check the house. Like, if I don't check the house, I'm going to freak out. So I grab a knife that we had at the front door, and I was walking through the house with my knife, like, checking everywhere. I didn't see anything, obviously, but it was very scary.
What's so funny about the difference between you and I in certain situations is that as I was leaving today to come here, I realized that my door had been unlocked all night.
Mackenzie!
I didn't mean to.
I can't tell you how many times I asked Joe before we go to bed, is the door locked? Yes. Are you sure? Yes.
It's just, for me, normally it's such an automatic reflex, but that's only if I have nothing in my hand and can do it. And so I guess when I put things down, but normally it's an automatic reflex, and I didn't do it. So there you go.
Yeah, drastically different people.
Sometimes I'll double check it, but that's only if I get like the sudden feeling like, let me just double check that they're locked.
I get that feeling all the time.
Normally I just trust myself that it's locked.
I mean, you've seen us when we've been recording. I'm like, is the door locked?
Yeah, I know. You're paranoid as hell. That's what I mean.
know.
Normally, I trust myself because 99% of the time, the door is locked.
I think it's one of those things, like, you know, when you have anxiety about something and you have to check it, even though you know that you locked it, you still have to go check it. Yeah.
Well, that's why that urge only comes over me, like, sometimes, depending on what I've watched.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense, too.
And then I'll, like, double check it. I'll even if I haven't opened my balcony door in months.
Same with our back door.
I will still check it. Although mine makes more sense because you could climb onto my balcony.
Right.
You can't.
You technically could if you were no, you wouldn't.
Because being on the 4th floor means that you have an inconvenient apartment for robbers.
Oh, it's really inconvenient. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But still, all the windows are locked. All the doors are locked.
Yes.
Also, I got a new iPhone, right? Like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It dies so freaking fast.
Really?
Yes. In an hour and a half, it dropped down 15%. And I'm like not really doing anything. I'm like listening to music. It's so frustrating. The other day, on Monday, I was shocked. I would check every like 2 minutes and it would be down 1 more percent. So if you have an iPhone 15 and you're experiencing these issues, please let me know. It's been quite a pain.
I feel like my phone still lasts. I also just...
My old one lasted way more.
Yeah? Does yours last all day?
No, not anymore. Anywho, so yeah, that's the issue. So, do we want to go into Nevada? Is it Nevada or Nevada?
Say it however you want.
No, because people get mad.
I don't care about those people.
All right, we're going to say Nevada.
Why?
What?
I'm going to say Nevada, so.
Okay, so we'll both say it differently.
Okay.
It's going to come out different each time.
That's fine.
I'm going to look it up.
Remember, the things that you and I are paranoid about are very different.
Nevada. Nevada is correct. It's not Nevada. It's Nevada.
Okay, well, I'm still going to say Nevada.
All right, Nevada. Nevada's Valley of Fire State Park is about 150 million years in the making. This incredible landscape is the result of ancient shifting sand dunes, faulting and erosion dating to the age of dinosaurs. The red sandstone formations that give the park its name seem to alight at the kiss of the sun, shining with every shade of red.
I would just like to say that when I do these and I read them first before I put them in here to see if like, oh, is this a good one? And has some of this like very literature language. I'm like trying to imagine you reading it and be like, should I change it or will it be funny?
I know, that's why I read it with a different voice.
Yes. Seem to alight the kiss of the sun.
I know, very like literature. That would be something that historians will look at and be like, what do you think she meant by this sentence?
Yeah, right.
I remember on our AP, it was like the lit exam, the AP Lit, we had a poem, and it was about a frog and a shopping cart in a pool. It made no sense. But so we had to interpret it.
Poems
So
are difficult.
we go back to our teacher afterwards, and he was like, what was the poem? Like, what did you guys have to talk about? So we told him the poem, we found it, and he's like, I have no idea what this even means.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, it was stupid.
I could have been really good at that if I did it like later in life.
Right. Not an AP class in high school.
I really, once I got that one honor class, like after 9th grade, my teacher was like, oh my God, you fucking read. Comparatively to anybody else in the class, like I'm the only one sitting there giggling at my book. I can read, bitches.
I can't spell, but I can read.
I can read. I can't write because I can't spell, and nothing was on the computer then. You were writing everything down.
Oh, yeah.
So that was terrifying.
Red squiggly line.
Exactly. But yeah, the poem and the frog.
Yeah, didn't make any sense.
I can't believe you remember that. I don't remember.
I remember it because it was like such like a thing where all of us were like, what is this? And then bringing it to our teacher, who was also like, I don't know. All right, so back to this thing that alights at the kiss of the sun.
Yes.
So the 1.5-mile round trip to the fire wave above is a popular hike. Springtime brings spectacular desert blooms to the park's 34,000 acres with desert mallow?
I think so.
Desert marigold and indigo bush among the flowering plants. The park's rocks have borne witness to more than the passage of time.
See, I knew that one was going to be funny.
Many are marked with 3,000-year-old Native American petroglyphs, rock carvings. Is it born witness or bore witness?
Bore.
You put born.
I copied and pasted.
Oh.
Maybe it is born. I don't know. Talk to CNN.
Oh, no, it is born. But it could be bore.
If it's born, do you say bore or do you say born? Will bore.
Have born witness. Okay, we're going to move on.
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
It's the most mountainous state in the United States and also the driest. The statewide average is 10 inches of precipitation per year. Nevada produces about 3/4 of all of the gold mined in the United States. Its underground treasures also include silver, copper, and some of the world's best black opals. Hidden Cave, discovered in the 1920s, was filled with thousands of artifacts, such as arrowheads and other tools that ancient peoples may have stored there for safekeeping. Las Vegas is the state's largest city, and it gets more than 42 million visitors a year. Here, tourists can find the Stratosphere, the tallest freestanding observation tower in the United States. It's over 1,000 feet tall, and brave visitors can bungee jump off of it? No.
Never be me.
Also, apparently in Las Vegas, they have that, there's a walkway that goes right over the strip. You can't take pictures on it anymore. It's illegal. You'll get arrested if you take a picture there.
Like, on the walkway?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I guess I read an article about it because I was like, what? It, stops the flow of people walking.
Oh, that makes sense.
But that's kind of stupid. Because it's, over the strip or something, so you can see the entire strip. So it's, a cool picture people like to get. What,
is it an automated walkway?
No.
I mean, I could kind of see it.
But getting arrested?
Yeah, I mean, it's aggressive, but, I also get the annoyance when people just stop.
Oh, my God, I hate that.
So.
I mean, I get it.
It's... I get both. I get both sides. You know, I don't.
Devil's advocate.
I don't think it should be that extreme, but I'm also that's really fucking irritating when people do that. So,
yes.
I get it. I get it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can see both sides there. So many people claim to have seen extraterrestrials along the 98-mile or 158-kilometer stretch of State Route 375 that the State Transportation Board named it Extraterrestrial Highway in 1996. Nevada, which lies between both the Great Basin and Mojave Desert.
Yeah, that's it.
Is one of the most diverse states in the nation in terms of biodiversity, topography, and geography. 314 named mountain ranges, 35 peaks over 10,000 feet in elevation. Because of the dramatic geography, the state has many pockets of unique habitat for plants and wildlife to call home. There are 309 endemic species, aka plants and wildlife that only live in a certain area, and subspecies, 6th in the U.S., 11th in the U.S. in total species diversity, 8th in the U.S. in butterfly diversity, 9th in the U.S. in mammal diversity, and 3rd in the U.S. in having the highest number of species at risk. Some stats for ya.
Mm-hmm.
Measuring
I've literally never seen that for any other fucking state that I've looked up.
Yeah, they're listen to our diversity.
Yeah.
It's like a college who's here's how diverse we are. Measuring up to 45 inches and weighing up to 50 pounds, the Lahontan cutthroat trout, aka Nevada state fish, is the largest inland cutthroat cutthroat trout in the world. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is.
Cutthroat trout.
Wait till the last couple.
Oh, great. With over 300 hot springs, Nevada is home to more hot springs than any other state in the nation. Some of Nevada's most rare and vulnerable species, like the Devil's Hole pupfish, Railroad Valley springfish, and spring snails, depend on spring systems for survival. I had it moved over so much that I didn't see the comma. And so I thought that whole thing was one name, and I was like, oh my God.
I didn't take it all in one breath.
That's why there were awkward pauses in between there. The state fossil of Nevada is the Triassic ichthyosaur Shawnosaurus popularis.
Yeah.
Thank you, which was a type of mammal, marine reptile. Not a mammal, it was a marine reptile, not a dinosaur.
Damn.
I was not going to say it again. At 4,007 meters, or 13,147 feet above sea level, Boundary Park is Nevada's highest point, located less than 2 kilometers or 1 mile from the California border. Nevada's extreme southern border with California, on the Colorado River, is the state's lowest point at 147 meters or 481 feet. Are you ready to share your tale?
Yeah.
Are we not ready to share our tale?
We're not. I'm sorry. No.
Roy is still in his shedding.
I gotta zoom in. I can't see. Oh my God, I gotta tell you a funny story.
Okay.
Because it has to do with not being able to see. I went out to dinner with my dad on Sunday. We went to this burger place, and it's like one where you order at the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the sign, and I can see the bolded letters, and we're not that far back. But then I cannot see any of the descriptors. Nothing below it is clear in any sense. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, who the fuck can see that?
You have reached old age.
I was like, nobody could see that. That is inreadable. I don't know what
Inreadable.
I can't think of the word because I'm mad, but it was not readable. And so we step a little bit closer because, now we're like, there's one person in front of us.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're about as close as you can get to said sign. I was like, oh, Dad, that's blurry. That's just blurry. There's something wrong with that sign. It's blurry to you, right? He's like, not with my glasses on. I said, fuck you. What the hell?
How many times have we gone over the fact that you need glasses?
Yeah, well, this one really was like, you can't see. You are not permitted. Usually I can it's just uncomfy. Like I got to zoom in. I can see, but it's harder to read and keep track of things unless they're bigger.
That sounds like classic denial of I don't need glasses. I just need things to be bigger.
I do. I just need them to be bigger.
Oh my God. Look at us aging. Aging.
Anyway. So the one and only fun thing about this case is that I found it on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X because that's stupid.
No. Yeah.
This story has a lot of moving parts that may or may not be connected. And our story starts in Nevada.
I would hope.
And kind of goes all over the U.S. and ends in West Virginia.
Okay. How much time are we in Nevada? Or are we born there and then we're done?
No. No. Crimes happen in Nevada.
Okay.
We're good. But, it's kind of like a scary states instead of a scary state. I have another really, really bad pun in here later on
God.
and just tickles me pink. So between 2003 and 2006, there was a series of dismemberment murders of sex workers working along the Las Vegas Strip. I really couldn't find much about our first victim, 25-year-old Misty Marie Saens. Misty disappeared from Vegas in March of 2003, and her body was found wrapped in plastic bags and bed sheets off of State Route 159 just west of Las Vegas. Her partial remains were found in the desert on a road leading to the Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. Police have still not found her killer. Jodi Brewer dropped out of high school when she was 17, but she got her GED soon afterwards. She began studying at a beauty school, but unfortunately couldn't finish because she was no longer receiving funding from El Governmental. I know that's not how you say government in Spanish, but...
It sounded good. I knew what you were saying.
Jodi's mom, Pamela Brewer, told the Las Vegas Sun, quote, all she ever wanted to do was hair and makeup. Her makeup was just beautiful. She was so driven. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. Jodi had turned to sex work when she was 17, and her mom was beside herself with anger and concern.
Aw.
Pamela told the Sun that she turned tricks when she needed money to pay rent or make payments on her 2002 pickup truck, adding that, quote, she liked the finer things in life. And I had to stop myself because I was like, 2002 is old as shit. And then I was like, it's 2003.
Yeah. So a really nice new pickup
really
truck.
nice fucking car. Pamela said she thinks some of Jodi's friends got her into it, but, quote, we didn't talk about it. When asked if Jodi's boyfriend was the teen's pimp, Pamela said she didn't know.
Oh.
When Jodi was 19, her mom, and her younger sister moved into an apartment in a gated complex. Jodi's mom was trying to help her daughter get her life back on track. Pamela told reporters, quote, I tried to get her out of it. I told her how dangerous it was and helped her find other jobs, but you get used to making a lot of money over the course of a few hours.
Yeah.
On August 14th, 2003 was the last time Pam ever saw her daughter again. She told reporters, quote, she had gone out for the night and she said, I love you, Mom. She said, I'll see you in the morning. And I said, I love you too, Jodi. And I never saw her again.
Ugh.
According to Pam, Jodi's boyfriend dropped Jodi off that night at the Harbor Island Club Apartments. He went to pick her up several hours later, but she wasn't there. A witness said Jodi got into a white car with California plates. 2 weeks later, on August 29th, parts of a woman's body were found in the desert 150 yards from Interstate 15 near the Mojave National Preserve in San Bernardino, California, which is about 70 miles southwest of Las Vegas.
Okay.
There was a hummingbird tattoo over her left breast and an M with a, like, monkey.
Okay.
Yeah. With a star on the lower back. When Pam read about the discovery, she called the police in California and asked if the woman they had recently found had purple braces. Jodi did. They told her that they didn't know because all they had found was a torso. Authorities said that a surgical saw had been used to dismember Jodi, and it was used with precision. Police have still not found her killer.
Oh my gosh.
Lindsay Marie Harris was born and raised in Scalantalis, New York, with her twin brother and her teacher parents. I never say it again, and that's how I wanted to pronounce it. And I am fully aware that it is incorrect. You do not have to tell me. I couldn't find much about Lindsay's life, but when she was 19 years old, she met her boyfriend Solomon Barron, who she met at a concert. Barron,
what a name.
I know. Barron worked as a self-proclaimed music promoter.
Oh,
Not long after they started dating, Lindsay decided to move across the country to live with Barron in Las Vegas. Lindsay told her parents that she was a dancer, but Lindsay was actually working for an escort service. Her family met Barron for the first time when Lindsay had returned to New York for Christmas that same year that she had moved, possibly 2003-ish.
Okay.
The last time anyone saw Lindsay was on May 4th, 2005, when she vanished from her home in Henderson, Nevada. She was last seen at a bank making a deposit wearing sweatpants and her hair in a ponytail. On May 5th, Lindsay called around to local utility companies, but it was unknown if she was paying bills or shutting off the power.
Interesting.
On May 6th, Lindsay leaves her boyfriend a voicemail message. It is unknown or unreported what that voicemail said.
Why?
I don't... It's like the information they have is kind of sporadic about these specific cases because when you first stumble across this story, there's a whole other part to it that you read about first before you read about these girls.
Oh, okay.
I'm just telling you, not in that order.
Right.
So I Googled them and I found like some snippets. Most of them were either the same.
Snidbits?
Like, oh, snippets. Did I say snidbits?
You said snidbits, like you're combining tidbits and snippets.
I think I did that.
New word, snidbits.
Snidbits. Instead of just tidbits. Or what was the other?
Snippets.
Or snippets. It's snippets. I don't even think that's what it... Does that what... Okay.
Snidbits.
Snidbits. Anyway.
So you found snidbits.
I found snidbits, and there really was nothing, like, more than, you know, an article or two about specific girls.
Okay.
So... don't know much more than that. I think because of what happened later, it's like, oh, well, it's possibly tied to this other thing. So some of the information seems to be glossed over because it isn't important, so to speak.
Okay.
But flashers went off when it said that, like, he had last heard from her on March 6th, but it was like a voicemail.
Yeah.
Because on May 7th, Barron had called Lindsay's parents to tell them that she was missing. Or he thought she was missing. But he had been in Syracuse, New York. But when he realized she was missing, he flew back to Nevada and reported her missing to the police, which I was like, that's weird. How do you...
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, well, what did that voicemail say?
Right. Exactly.
Like,
that's what I was wondering. Like
for
it
you
sounds
to
suspicious.
Panic and then come back.
Right.
I don't know. Something weird there. But they don't go much further than that.
Huh.
Her rental car was found abandoned in the desert, and her credit cards had not been used since. The exact timing of when her car was found has not been made public. On May 23rd, 2005, a severed leg was found by a group of children approximately several hundred yards from Interstate 55 in Divron, Illinois.
Jeez.
15 miles south of Springfield.
Good job on pronouncing the state.
Thank you. I was watching TV today, and homie said Illinois.
Well, he's wrong then.
Just saying. The next day, the other leg was found. It was discovered that both legs belonged to the same person after conducting DNA tests on each of them, and the FBI was able to compare the DNA of the unnamed victim that had been submitted by the Illinois authorities to Harris's DNA that had been submitted by Henderson authorities in May 2008. The DNA confirmed that both legs belonged to Lindsay Harris.
Mhm.
So they found her, but
Right.
they didn't know it was her until 3 years later.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They found her, they found like parts of her.
She found parts of her, found her
Right.
legs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the time they identified Lindsay's legs, they felt that the 3 murders were connected and most likely committed by the same person. All of the women were involved with sex work, and their bodies had been dismembered and left off interstate highways. There was one more case that police believed may be connected to the other women. Jessica Foster was born and raised in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada,
Okay.
with her mom, stepdad, and 3 sisters. She was on the honor roll and would attend Bible school in the summer. During her junior and senior year of high school, Jessica decided to live with her father in Calgary. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
No, that sounded good. I think I've heard it that way before.
Cool. After graduating, she worked in Calgary and had plans to eventually attend university. She moved to the U.S. in 2005, but kept in regular contact with her family back in Canada. Jessica had begun traveling with a friend, and they had traveled to New Jersey and New York before heading to Las Vegas in May of 2006, 2 weeks before her 21st birthday. The last time her family saw her was Christmas of 2005, and the last contact they had with her was by phone on March 28th, 2006. She had been at home at the time in North Las Vegas, Nevada, and on April 3rd, Jessica's live-in boyfriend, Peter Todd, 2 first names,
Never good.
never good, said Jessica had left for a dentist appointment and never returned home. All of her belongings were missing, except for her makeup and her hairdryer. There's so much sus around this. It's like, I'm like, okay, maybe not this other guy that I'll talk about later, but like, we have some other suspects.
Right.
Her family said it was not like her to leave those items behind if she had left willingly, and for them also not to hear from her for this long. On April 9th, Jessica's mother reported her missing to the Las Vegas Police Department. So, like, the next rest of it, basically, from here, definitely trigger warning of abuse, assault, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Just bad things.
And probably death.
Yeah. But, like, there's this kind of second part to this story that's like the whoa kind of thing. You'll see. It'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
There's also, like, graphic parts there. So I was just going to say for her story, but I was like, no, because for the second story, last story, it's also...
So just all
yeah,
the
so that's what I'm
things from
saying.
here on
Like,
out.
the rest here on out, there's going to be mentions of that scattered. So just fair warning.
Okay.
The Fosters decided to hire a private investigator and had learned Jessica may have been sex trafficked. How do you say trafficked in past? Trafficked.
Yeah.
From Canada to Atlantic City and Las Vegas by a man named Donald Vaz that she had met when she was living in Calgary. Jessica thought of Vaz as a friend, and he had invited her on a trip to Florida, New York, and New Jersey in April of 2005. They traveled to Nevada, which was supposed to be a short trip because she had 2 jobs lined up back in Canada.
Were they going to fly or were they going to drive? From over on the East Coast over to there? That's not a short trip.
The trip, as in how long they'd be staying in Nevada, was supposed to be short.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like they're going to try to get there and back quickly. And I'm like, that's not happening.
Sorry. The trip to Nevada was supposed to be short in the sense that they weren't supposed to stay in Nevada for very long.
Okay. That makes way more sense.
Yes. Because she had 2 jobs lined back up in Canada. She had decided to stay in Las Vegas and told her family that she met a man named Peter Todd, whom she had gotten engaged to and was moving in with. At this point, Jessica's family had no idea that she was involved in sex work. Jessica was arrested for sex work-related offenses in June and September of 2005 in Nevada. Her family discovered that Todd was Jessica's pimp and had beaten her and broken her jaw, sending her to the hospital in June. An employee that worked at the same escort agency Jessica worked at noticed that she would regularly come in with bruises and believed that Jessica was being abused.
Oh.
When Jessica came home for Christmas the previous year, she only stayed until Christmas morning after everyone opened gifts before catching a flight back to Vegas. Shortly before she went missing, Jessica had mentioned to one of her sisters that she wanted to leave Todd. She told her sister that she was packing her stuff up and was getting ready to leave. Todd told the authorities that Jessica moved out of their place and showed the police that all of her clothes were gone.
Of course.
Police didn't find any evidence of foul play or crime at the home, and according to authorities, Todd was cooperative with the investigation and did not consider him a suspect in her disappearance. There has been no activity on Jessica's phone, credit cards, or bank account since she's gone missing. She left behind $20,000 in the bank that she was going to use for her education. The location of Jessica Foster, as well as circumstances surrounding her disappearance, remains unknown. Foul play is suspected, but no arrests have been made, and her case remains unsolved.
Dang.
Glendenine Grant, Jessica's mother, is suspicious of the circumstances of Jessica's disappearance and believes that the people Jessica hung out with in Las Vegas may have killed her, gotten her killed, or forced her into human trafficking.
I mean, I can see why you would think that.
She told the Las Vegas Sun, quote, Jessica is beautiful and all-Canadian girl who just became friends with the wrong person. Grant is not happy about the association people have made with her daughter's disappearance and the other women who were murdered. Grant said, quote, a lot of people are throwing her name out there like she's the dismembered prostitute who hasn't been found. And when I first read this, I was like, okay, that's a little, like, snarky. But then I was like, I think it's coming from a place of sadness and hurt.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, but my daughter hasn't been found yet.
Right.
You know, not that it's any worse or better than the other situations, but I think for her, it's like, you guys keep comparing it. But then for her, there's this huge thing of, like, but my daughter hasn't been found. Right. How can you say that she's with these people?
No, absolutely, yeah.
So when I thought about it that way, I was like, okay, definitely could have been nicer, but, I get it. Grieving mom.
You can't fault her.
Yeah, grieving mom. Grant wants people to know about her daughter's fun personality, that she was an amazing big sister, and how close she was to her family. Jessica's family is hoping someone will come forward with accurate information to help solve the case. Grant believes her daughter could still be alive, but if she isn't, Grant just wants her daughter's body to be found. She told The Sun, quote, if Jessie is dead and in the Mojave, or if Jessie is dead and in a box along the highway, she's not resting in peace. We need to bring her home so she can.
Aww.
While all the cases seem to be connected, none have been solved or any arrests been made in connection with these cases. That was until 2015 when police identified a potential suspect that they found under pretty unusual circumstances. Heather Saul was living in Charleston, West Virginia when she was contacted by a man via Backpage, a classified ads website that accepts advertisements from sex workers, to arrange a meeting with her at her home.
Oh.
He asked her if she had lived alone and set up a time to come over. The man, known now as Neil Falls, parked his gold Subaru in Heather's driveway and came up to her door. As soon as Heather opened the door, Falls pulled out a gun and said, live or die.
Oh my God.
So this is the recount from Heather herself. Quote,
okay.
Quote, he started strangulating me out. Strangling her.
Yeah, that's a weird way.
Yeah. He was clamped down on my throat so bad that I've never been choked like that. And I've been through a lot of physical abuse. And that was horrible. You could tell from his upper body strength. You could tell that he's done this for a long time. He knew how to keep control of me. She continues, I knocked him off of me. I remember my feet even being up, climbing up the door while his hands were around my throat. He knew how to keep a hold of me. He was good. He knew what he was doing. He had done it before. I started screaming. If he was going to shoot me, he would have shot me. I'm fighting him. So reason number 287,730,283 to have a dog.
Yes.
Earlier that same day, Heather had used a rake to clean up outside after her small dog Fancy.
A rake?
Heather left her rake, possibly a pooper scooper,
okay,
next to the kitchen door and went to grab it to fight off her attacker.
I just wanted to make sure I heard correctly.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Falls saw Heather grab the rake pooper scooper. I really hope it's a pooper scooper. It'd be great. Put down his gun on the kitchen table so that he could use both hands to subdue her.
Oh,
he was behind her, and Heather immediately dropped the pooper scooper and picked up the gun. She aimed blindly over her shoulder and shot once.
Yes.
Neil Falls. Dying instantly.
That was good.
I was like, it's right.
It's right there.
I was like, no. And I put Neil Falls fell dying instantly. I was like, no, it's right there. It's right there.
Good.
Yeah. Plus, he sucks. So like,
right. Yeah, asshole.
So Neil Falls, dying instantly from the gunshot wound to his head.
That was a good shot on her part.
Yeah, she got lucky. When police arrived, I forgot to include this. I think she had broken her back.
Oh.
And her shoulder was dislocated.
Oh my God.
So she didn't get away unscathed.
Right.
But
I mean,
alive.
You're alive.
Yes. So I just forgot to include that part because this next part is like, That's jaw on the floor for those of you that can't see.
Oh, yes, those who didn't understand what that was from the sound effect.
When police arrived, they found 4 sets of handcuffs on Falls's body.
Why do you need so many?
I'm assuming leg, arm. So
I thought you meant like one set is on one arm, like just the set on the arm, and then the other set is on the other arm.
Just dangling.
I was like, Mackenzie, they need to be attached to things.
Yeah. Shows how fun your sex life is. Anyway, when they searched his car, Lieutenant Steve Cooper, chief of detectives for Charleston Police, said they found, quote, several axes, a shovel, a bulletproof vest, numerous handcuff keys, a container of bleach, a large cache of trash bags, other cutting instruments, knives, box cutters, a sledgehammer.
Oh my God.
They also found a Rubbermaid tub that was large enough to hold the body of a woman.
Oh.
Falls, 45, who had recently moved to the area and arranged to meet with several women he contacted on Backpage. Police had found a note in Falls's pocket that was a list of the names of these women, their ages, and their phone numbers. Police contact...
Thankfully, he's such a stupid criminal.
Yes. Police contacted all the women. 5 were from West Virginia, 1 from San Diego. I don't know why they did this part, but they told them that they had been targeted, which... Yeah, the guy's dead, so you don't have to worry. But still, I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like I would want to know.
Yeah.
But maybe they're telling them in a way to be like, change your ways.
Well, they were first doing it to make sure that they were okay. Because at the time, they didn't know what order he had gone in.
Oh.
And so they had no idea whether or not they were alive.
Right.
So if they're contacting them to make sure, I'm sure they're asking why.
Right. Why are the police contacting me to see if I'm alive?
It's just like the way it was written in this article was like, they called the women to tell them they had been targeted. I was like, why? That sounds like so
I know.
aggressive.
You've been targeted. Are you alive?
Right. Like, I was like, I feel like if we like reworded that.
Yeah, we could reword it a little bit better.
Yeah. So... but Lieutenant Cooper told WSAZ, quote, whatever happened in the apartment last week ended whatever crime spree he may have been on and whatever his intentions were. There will be no more victims.
Good girl.
Yeah. When you Google her name, there's so many like web pages, Facebook posts that are like, Heather's a hero.
Yeah.
Like the Reddit post, everyone's like, she's so badass. Like,
absolutely.
Good for her. Like all these things. So even, I'm jumping ahead. I gotta wait. I don't want to give away information.
Okay.
So who is Neil Falls?
Right.
He was born on September 24th, 1969 in Eugene, Oregon with 9 other siblings. Ugh. He lived in various cities around Oregon growing up and began to show an interest in firearms and an obsession with military paraphernalia when he was in high school.
Good, because that's always not a red flag at all.
No. When he graduated high school, he began working in a low-skilled labor job. He was not known to break the law or abuse drugs or alcohol. He was, however, very keen on collecting weapons and ammunition.
Again, not a red flag.
People that knew him spoke very highly of him, and I said, I bet they were all men.
Yeah, probably.
Falls moved to Greensburg, Kansas in early 1992 to live with his father. His father passed in 1995, and he returned to Oregon and began working as a private security guard. In 2000, Falls moved to Henderson, Nevada, where he worked as a security guard at Hoover Dams for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
During this time, he began to show deviant behavior that including abusing animals in desert areas of Arizona, which he was subjected to disciplinary action for. I don't know what happened, though.
Okay, Arizona does touch Nevada for people who need to know.
Yeah. Right in the corner.
Yeah.
But Las Vegas is like down here, right? Isn't it like really far south?
You don't know.
Okay. Also during this time, Falls was spending most of his spare time in the company of different sex workers and pimps. He supposedly visited the Philippines in the mid-2000s for the purpose of sex tourism, which, according to Wikipedia, sex tourism refers to the practice of traveling to foreign countries, often on a different continent. I was like, well, duh.
Uh-huh.
There are one country on one continent. I just think of America, and I'm
if there weren't, there would only be 7 countries.
Well, I know Mexico and Canada are going out of the country, but like I don't count it as going out of the country because it's like right there.
Right.
Versus like
when you have to fly over an ocean.
I guess they are. I would have to go to a different continent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Other places, you have like Italy, Portugal, Spain, all in Europe, and you can just kind of boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
You're in a different country, but you're in the same continent. Or you could go to like the Philippines and you're in a different continent as well.
There you go. So, okay.
Our world knowledge.
Geography is
We don't have a map for
working.
that.
So it's with the intention of engaging in sexual activity or relationships in exchange for money or lifestyle support.
Oh.
Baby daddy.
Oh.
This practice predominantly operates in countries where sex work is legal.
Mm-hmm.
The World Tourism Organization of the United Nations has acknowledged that this industry is both organized within and outside the structured laws and networks created by them.
Okay.
In 2008, Falls was forced to quit his job over alleged sexual harassment. Pretends to be shocked.
Forced to quit his job.
Mm-hmm. I was like, forced to quit, or did you fire?
Or did you fire?
Like, get fired.
Yeah.
Instead of forcing him to quit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or did you fire him?
Well, yeah. That was
Or
implied.
did you fire?
That was implied. I figured you knew.
I did. I like giving you a hard time, though.
Between 2009 and 2005, he lived in Oregon, Indiana, Kentucky, and Texas, where he was detained by police on several occasions for traffic violations. After Texas, he moved to Charleston, West Virginia, where shortly after moving to the area, he had met his demise when he tried to attack and kill Heather Saul.
Good.
Lieutenant Cooper said, quote, based on the nature and sheer brutality of the assaults, along with all of the suspicious items, we suspect that Mr. Falls has been involved in other violent crimes. We've shared this case file with law enforcement across the country, hoping to assist on any open or cold murder cases. Police from other jurisdictions, states began working with the Charleston police to see if Falls could be responsible for unsolved cases in their areas. They believed that the objects that they had found in Falls' car and his previous known locations connected him to several unsolved cases across the country, including the 3 murdered and 1 missing women from Las Vegas.
Wow.
A task force from Ross County, Ohio, arrived in Charleston to investigate whether Falls also may have been connected to the deaths of 4 women and the disappearances of 2 others in the town of Chillicothe.
Oh.
That's phonetic, so don't come at me. Charleston and Chillicothe. No. Anyway, those 2 police forces both say that they haven't been able to establish a clear link to the Ohio cases, but the victims generally fit the profiles of the Nevada victims, young women down on their luck, suffering from drug addiction, or involved in sex work, or both.
Mm-hmm.
Falls' DNA has been entered into a national database for further investigation in other places connected to Falls, including Oregon. So these are the women that authorities believe may be connected to Falls.
Mm-hmm.
So 25-year-old Megan Nicole Lancaster was last seen in Willsburg, Ohio on April 3rd, 2013. That evening, she was supposed to run errands and then head back to her parents' place, but she never did. 2 days later, her car was found abandoned at Rally's fast food restaurant in Portsmouth, Ohio, and her wallet on the passenger seat.
Why do they think he's connected to these people?
Based on where he was at the time and his
okay.
type.
Okay.
And I think when he was living in, obviously not West Virginia, but one of the other places like Indiana or, what did I say?
You said a lot.
I know. Indiana, Kentucky, they like, in the article, it talks about like how close those were in relation to these places. And
Okay.
given that like the women from Nevada, they were found scattered.
Mm-hmm.
So they think like, oh, maybe he travels.
Right. Okay.
Holly Renee Logan, 27, was last seen in Columbus, Ohio on July 21st, 2013. She has never been heard from again. She was not reported missing until December 2014.
Wow.
22-year-old Jamie Malin Bowen was last seen in the area of Parsons and Stewart Avenues in Columbus, Ohio on April 10th, 2014. She was making her way a few blocks from her sister's house to her parents' home. Bowen and Logan were friends. Charlotte Eliza Trago, 27, was last seen in Chillicothe, Ohio on May 3rd, 2014. She had been living with a roommate on Ewing Street, but after the roommate evicted her, she departed on foot. She has never been heard from again. 30-year-old mother of 3, Tamika Lynch, who was friends with Trago, went missing on the same day, May 3rd, 2014. 3 weeks after going missing, Lynch's nude body was discovered in Paint Creek. The autopsy determined she had died from an overdose of cocaine, alcohol, and amphetamines. Although the exact circumstances of her death are unknown, her family believes that she was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda Jean Lemons, 37, was last seen in Chillicothe, Ohio on November 3rd, 2014. Her last communication with her family were messages to her adult daughter via text and Facebook. Lemons was last seen trying to hitchhike to Galveston, Texas.
Oh, from where?
Ohio.
Wow.
Shasta Himmelrich, 20, went missing on December 25th, 2014 from Chillicothe, Ohio. She was seen on security camera from a Speedway gas station in Chillicothe around 3:15 in the morning. Her car was found abandoned at a road junction near Higbee Bridge, which crosses the Scioto River in southeastern Ross County, Ohio, the next day. The driver and passenger doors were open, the battery was dead, and the car was out of fuel. Her body was found in the Scioto River on January 2nd, 2015. Her family strongly disagreed with the coroner's determination that she committed suicide by drowning and strongly insisted that she was actually killed and dumped in the river.
Yeah.
Tiffany Sarie, 26, went missing on May 11th, 2015. Her body was found by two people walking along a creek bed along Cave Road in Highland County, Ohio, about 30 miles west of Chillicothe, Ohio, on June 27th, 2015. She had been last seen in the evening heading to the Chillicothe Inn, which had a reputation as a site for sex work. Syrie's body was found wrapped in a sheet. Her death was deemed a homicide. So based on the circumstances surrounding Falls' death, law enforcement conducted an extensive investigation into his background to determine his culpability in any unsolved murders and disappearances of women.
Mm-hmm.
One person noted that, like, once he was dead, the women stopped disappearing in that area.
Interesting
This
correlation?
This led the Federal Bureau of Investigation to believe that Falls had killed at least 10 people.
Wow.
In 2018, Falls was tested for involvement in the I-70 killer murders. A series of killings in the Midwestern United States in the spring of 1992. During that time, he lived in Kansas, where one of the murders had occurred and corresponded very closely to the subject's image, but no physical evidence was located to corroborate these speculations. No official charges have been made, and all of these cases are still open to this day.
And what sucks is, like, yes, it's good he's dead, but it's like you'll never be able to find any, like, any closure for that.
So kind of an update, more or less. So the cases that were in Nevada, they're now being, well, at least a couple of them are now being looked into for possible connections to the Long Island serial killer.
Oh, the one who, like, was just recently. Oh.
So Rex Humerman, the suspected Gigolo Beach serial killer, has come under investigation for potential link to Lindsay Harris's murder.
Interesting.
Humerman and his wife had purchased a condominium in Nevada shortly before Harris's disappearance. This timing has drawn the attention of investigators, and the Las Vegas police are probing Humerman's possible involvement in the case, among others. As recently as July 2003, several media reports claimed that during one of the raids conducted by law enforcement on Humerman's home, authorities confiscated a portrait that depicts the face of a blonde woman, dark pupils, and noticeable bruising beneath her eyes. Lindsay's blonde.
Oh.
Many are saying that the portrait is an eerie resemblance to Lindsay Harris. Again, as of today, all of these cases are still open and unsolved. So some of them had contact information. Some of them I just was like, use this one. So you can contact for any information about any of the women that I talked about from Ohio. They have a task force hotline. I'm not going to read it all. We're including it in the show notes.
Yeah, you can check the show notes.
But it'll be there. For Lindsay Harris, they had, like, Illinois State Police, because I guess that's where her body was found.
Oh, yeah.
And then for Jessica Foster, I have both Las Vegas Police Department or the Kamloops, British Columbia Police Department. And then that, like, I couldn't find anything for, like, Misty or, like, Jodi and things like that. And so I just Googled the Henderson Police Department, the one where, like, some of them were from.
Yeah.
And I put their phone number and the link to their website. And then because nothing actually ever came from this Neil guy, like, they have these suspicions, but nothing's ever been solidified.
Right.
I also put the Charleston Police Department's phone number, like the one in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Where the incident happened, in case anyone has more information about him or whatever.
Right. If he was in the area longer, maybe.
Yeah. And also the website for that. So that will all be in the show notes. I'm not going to go through them because it's a lot of numbers and none of you are going to remember it and or write it down. You're just going to go and copy and paste from the notes.
Yep.
So, but yes, they will all be in there. And so that is the weird major red string sticky note.
Yeah.
Going crazy, who's at fault story of Neil Falls.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think they have a lot of evidence for why it's potentially him.
Yes.
I think they have a lot of interesting and compelling evidence for why it could be the other guy.
Yes.
And then Heather's badass.
100%. Like, go girl. She's amazing. Yeah, and that's the thing is that I'm like, I wonder, like, some of the boyfriends that were involved, you know, some of them seemed a little suspicious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, some of them definitely did. Have they been interviewed?
I don't know.
I would hope so.
I found a little bit more on like Jessica Foster. Like she had her own Wikipedia page.
Oh.
Again, it just had most of the same information.
Right.
So, and that's what's kind of interesting is that I'm like, I feel like there's so much more to this. And I don't think it's necessarily because it hadn't been investigated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking because they're all still open.
Right.
That we don't know everything.
I mean, yeah, because when things are open, they'll kind of keep information from the public so that if the killer does come forward and they have information that wasn't in the public.
Exactly.
Then you can kind of test things.
And so I feel like that's kind of what was going on here is that I feel like there's a lot of missing parts to it.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't see anything else on like the only reason I knew how Jodi's torso was like left there, like cut up and stuff, was because the mom had commented to a reporter that that's what police told her.
Oh.
So that was the only way I found it.
Interesting.
Yeah. None of the articles I found anyway. There might be other places, but most of the articles I found, they didn't go into detail, and maybe they couldn't because they only had so many body parts. But
right, yeah.
About like cause of death and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of question marks, but I just thought it was the headline of the tweet was "Women Kills Potential Serial Killer."
Oh, yeah. Relating it back to Twitter.
Yeah. And I was like, tell me more.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Nice case.
Yeah.
Wild case.
Wild. And at first, when I like really started looking into it, and I was like, oh, wait, it's starting to happen in West Virginia. Wait, but how does this have to why did I put this for Nevada? I must have done that for some reason.
Right. There has to be some reason.
And so I found what they were connecting him to. I was like, okay. Let me look into these girls.
Right.
So I found most of what I could. There's a couple of podcasts out there that talk about it. They didn't seem to have any more information than I did.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Well, good job.
That should be on the show, Close Encounters with a Serial Killer.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Anything home invasion-y. I know, like, it was technically set up, but not for him to do that. So I would consider it home invasion. It's terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, and that when I first read that, like, he was setting it up to go there, I was like, baby girl.
I know.
Don't do it in your home.
I know.
No.
But it's also in that field, it's so dangerous because you're not going to want to go to someone else's home.
Well, and that's the literal second thought I had. I was like, well, going to somebody else's home probably isn't any safer.
It's not.
And so I'm like, you're really kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with that one.
Right. Because there's nowhere safe. It's not a safe profession.
Right. So one of the articles I read, it's, you've used medium.com before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. At the end of their posting of this story, they like kind of talk about their own personal opinion about, what happened and things like that. And so they were like, if you, agree with what Heather did or something like that, it was like, you should help support getting sex work legalized.
Yes.
So
I think it should be legalized. It would make it so much safer and
100%.
cleaner and just.
Yes. Men couldn't continue to just be men.
Right.
But, I forgot this part. Jessica's mom, Jessica Foster, the last girl who hasn't been found.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was her or Lindsay. Maybe it was Lindsay's mom. One of them started Moms Against Sex Trafficking or something like that. Like she started, I don't know if it was a chapter or the company or whatever it was, because of what happened to her daughter.
Oh, we will also include that in the show notes.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and look to see which one it was, but I know one of the moms did that.
Oh.
So I'll put her information in there too when I figure it out.
Oh, well, nicely done.
Yes, even took me for a loop.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, how am I going to tell this?
I know. Sometimes you're like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just going to write and see what happens.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What tea you pouring, Lauren? Maybe I should say what spooky tea.
Oh, yeah. What spooky tea you pouring, Lauren?
Yeah.
I like that. Or what scary tea?
Oh, yeah.
Because we're a scary state. All right. What do you think of when you think of Nevada?
Desert.
That's right. Las Vegas and casinos.
Yeah, that too.
All right. How many casinos do you think are in Las Vegas?
Thousands.
Okay, no.
2 for 2.
One article said 66, and I was like, that seems really low. And then another article said well over 100, and I was like, I believe that one more. But so anywhere between 66 and well over 100 are the number of casinos.
Cool.
But either way, there are lots of casinos located in Las Vegas, and because of that, many attempted heists, all starting back in the 30s, have occurred. So tonight, I wanted to go briefly into a few and end with one that has left the state of Nevada scratching their head.
Ooh.
8 News.
I love a good heist.
And I was thinking, we've done Nevada. This is our 3rd time, and we've never done Vegas.
I did the one mob guy.
Okay, but like heists, like casino stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like, let's do it. So 8 News Now had a great article from November of 2022 that have a few that I will briefly talk about now.
Okay.
So while this isn't necessarily a heist, card counting is apparently a very common thing in Vegas. The MIT...
real good at math.
I wish. The MIT blackjack team is actually notorious around Vegas for being at the top of the list when it comes to the amount of money that they have taken from a casino.
Yeah, you can get kicked out.
Yeah, you can.
And banned for card counting.
Yeah, they've been counting cards in Vegas from 1979 to 1994.
It's just like the man. You find a loophole in the system and they're like, you're not allowed to do that.
My thought is like, if you have
the
that
genius
skill, you should be able to use it.
100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Like, I get, like, the casino's going to lose a lot of money, but if someone has these skills...
Like, how
to
many
be
people can
able-
actually count cards?
And it's not just one stack of cards.
Correct.
There's multiple in there that are going through. If you can keep track of that, you should be able to...
And especially, it's not just you playing cards, it's multiple people.
Right!
And you can take that all in your brain and do fancy calculations and know what's going to... Like, that's insane.
It's insane. So I think you should be able to use it as a skill, but apparently not everyone thinks that way. So they've been counting cards in Vegas for a long time. The exact amount that they have won isn't known, but it is believed that they have won somewhere between $22 million and $57 million.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So who does that go to, them or MIT?
See, I don't know.
Like, is that a school-sponsored event? Like, what?
It is known as the MIT Blackjack Team. So.
Exactly. Like, what does that mean? Is this a school trip and, like, I get to keep it? Or, like, whatever?
So the movie 21 from 2008 is actually based on this group.
Is this the one with the magic cards?
No, that's Catch Me If You Can.
Oh.
21, they're a blackjack team, and they play blackjack, and they can count the cards.
That's what that is.
Yep. So this next one happened at the Bellagio in 2010 on December 14th.
Every time I hear that name, I only ever think of in Ocean's 11 when they're telling Rupert which casinos they want to rob. And what's his name? George Clooney looks at Brad Pitt and then looks back at the guy who plays Ruben and says the Bellagio, the MGM, and fuck, I forget the third one. But every single time someone says Bellagio, I just run that quote in my head. The Bellagio, the MGM, and the whatever the third one is.
Well, he might have been onto something.
You must have lost your goddamn mind. I've seen those movies a lot.
I can tell.
I actually very much surprised myself today. I can pretty much do the entire intro to Danny Phantom. And it came out of left field.
It's one of those things where it's like, you know, when something hits you again.
My mouth was moving. I was like, I don't know these words.
Right.
Like,
that's how I am with Eminem songs. You can't think of it. You just have to let your body take over.
That's my problem with rapping is that once I start doing good, it's the same thing when I read. I'm like, oh, I'm doing a good job. And then I fuck up.
Yep. All right, it's back to the Bellagio.
Yeah.
So Anthony Michael Carleo.
Wait, what? Did you say Michael Anthony?
Yeah, his name's Anthony Michael. He was the son of a Las Vegas judge. He walked straight into the Bellagio wearing a motorcycle helmet and brandishing a gun. He went straight to the craps table, held the gun up, and demanded chips. He ended up fleeing with $1.5 million worth of chips, including some chips that were worth $25,000.
Damn.
Which, that's kind of scary. Like, this one chip is $25,000. Maybe he didn't realize that the number of cameras in Vegas is insane. So I looked it up. Vegas is one of the top 10 most surveilled cities in the U.S.
But yeah.
It's like number 7, which I thought was kind of wild.
I think New York has got to be number 1.
It wasn't New York. It was something else. I can't remember what it was. But
because I know New York, like, they got a whole system.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Vegas has 10,208 cameras for...
Oh, it's got to be London.
Maybe.
London is all over. They talk all the time about their CCTV cameras.
Well, I said the most surveilled in the U.S.
Just kidding.
So they have 10,208 cameras for 651,319 people.
Well, wait, I say those numbers so much lower than you just did, please.
10,208 cameras.
Okay.
For
For
600 and not for, like FOR.
yeah, no, I know.
For 651,319 people. Meaning that it's about 15.67 cameras per 1,000 people.
Okay.
Which that doesn't sound like a lot, but they're everywhere in the city and they are filming 24/7.
Yeah.
So they're everywhere.
That does seem like a lot.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound like a lot. Like 15 for 1,000 people, but then, it's a lot.
Because I feel like cameras,
You get a wide view.
Yeah.
Yep. So the cameras recorded this whole event, and after he fled, the video was seen around the world within hours. But Carleo managed to escape the area on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
What is fun is he is known as the biker bandit.
Nice.
Because he biker.
Yeah.
What is interesting, too, is that just days earlier, Carleo had been at the Suncoast Hotel and Casino and had managed to steal $20,000 worth of chips in this same method, so brandishing a gun, wearing a motorcycle helmet.
What year was this?
This was...
Or time frame?
2010.
Oh,
so
my
December
God, recent.
2010. Yeah. So he eventually got caught because we know his name.
Flew too close to the sun.
But how? Well, he was bragging about it. And he even tried to sell he even tried to sell the chips on an internet poker website.
Oh.
He was using the email cranberrykid25@yahoo.com. He made the email to try to sell the chips.
That sounds like your fucking Yahoo email.
Oh my God, it's my spam one, I know. The cranberry comes from the color of a $25,000 chip, like the ones he had stolen.
He's so slick.
And the 25 makes sense for the price of the chip.
Yeah.
So Cranberry Kid 25.
Yeah, it's so slick.
He would sign his emails about selling it, like if he was messaging people.
Biker bandit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He also at one point tried to sell these chips to undercover officers.
Okay, so that's my next question is now you have these chips, these hot chips.
Okay, I thought this the whole time. How do you cash them?
How do you cash them?
So I guess he was trying to sell them to get the cash that those people could go take the chip and turn it in.
Right.
So he'd be out of it completely. But I thought that too. I'm like, why are you stealing chips?
Yeah.
Because now you're on video. You can't cash those in.
Exactly.
Right. I thought that the entire time I was doing
Well,
this.
obviously we can see he's a genius, so.
Yep. So he is currently serving between 9 and 27 years in a Nevada state prison for this robbery and for the earlier heist that he committed on December 9th, 2010, just 5 days earlier, at the Suncoast Casino.
Damn.
So the Bellagio had another situation, but this time they stopped the heist before it could be completed. So this one happened in 2000. Jose Vigoa, then 40, a former commando in the Cuban Revolutionary Armed Forces.
Scary.
I know. Went up to the cashier's cage of the Bellagio with 2 others. Luis Suarez, then 35, and Oscar Sanchez Cisneros, then 23. So 2 of the men, unaware of which 2, leapt over the counter into the cage, where they filled up a bag with $160,000 worth of chips. Again, chips. The third in the group stood as lookout. After they got the money, they fled, firing a shot at a security guard as they escaped. His injuries were non-life-threatening.
Oh, good.
Vigeo didn't conceal his face during the robbery, so he was caught shortly after, but thanks to security cameras, duh. It was later revealed that he and his accomplices had been wearing bulletproof vests, so they were prepared for, some kind of shit to go down.
Yeah.
Cisneros admitted to his crime and also ratted out the third guy who had been with them, Suarez.
Fucking snitch.
He was hoping this would get him a lighter sentence.
Did it?
Well, he ended up committing suicide while at the Clark County Detention Center only 4 months after the robbery.
So he was not hopeful that was going to get in this short, or maybe it didn't get
Maybe it didn't. Suarez was sentenced to 15 years and was ordered to pay $150,000 in restitution. Vigoa was sentenced to 4 non-parole life sentences.
Life?
Uh-huh. Okay. 4 non-parole life sentences.
Okay.
And an additional 306 to 760 years.
But he didn't kill anybody.
He was charged with this robbery, multiple other robberies, and the murder of 2 armed truck guards.
Oh, just kidding.
Yep. And before his plea agreement, he even tried to stage a jail escape.
Yeah, you gotta stay, buddy.
So, I didn't go into the 2 armored truck guards, but it showed up in, this little list.
I think I've said this before. I'm not quite sure. I hope that those people who get life sentence after life sentence, that when they die, there's, a jail for those souls.
Well, what I was hoping was it's even in death, you still can't technically rest because you're technically still serving these sentences.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a life sentence, I think, equates to 140 years. So it's not life. It's a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
they just say the life sentence. So if you have 4 life sentences, you're looking at over 500 years. So it's hopefully your soul for 500 years is just kind of shit out of luck. So bars have now been installed around these cashier cages to prevent something like this happening again.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, a man tried to rob the Bellagio by literally swiping...
God, the Bellagio is just
I
The
know.
place to rob. I bet you they saw Ocean's 11.
So he tried by literally swiping casino chips off of tables. Just going up. So.
That sounds like one of those things you walk in, you get an intrusive thought, and you decide to follow through with it.
No, it gets better.
Okay.
So Michael Belton and another man wore wigs and sunglasses to try to pull this off.
Nice.
They sprayed a blackjack dealer with pepper spray and were able to swipe $115,000 worth of chips off the table.
It's not a bad grab.
Right. So they tried to run. The other man, unknown, he got away. Well, Belton was later convicted.
Oh, good for him for not snitching.
Yeah. Early in 2017, 2 men broke into the jewelry store at the Bellagio. They were wearing pig masks and tuxedos and used sledgehammers to do the breaking. One was 20-year-old Sebastian Gonzalez. He was arrested for the robbery. Don't know who the other man was.
Again.
Also later that year in 2017, the Bellagio's poker room was robbed.
See, this is the start of like those like crime show episodes where like one of them goes to jail and like festers and is pissed that the other one didn't go to jail, and then when he gets out, he goes after that guy.
Exactly like that, yep.
Setting it up for it.
All right, so now we have the Stardust smoke bombs. So Stardust Casino has had its fair share of heists and robberies. In 1991, an elaborate inside job took place. A security guard working for Stardust, his name is Royal Hopper.
Real name?
Real name. He used his sons in an imposter robbery so that while they were being taken care of, he could go steal $150,000. This one was successful.
I was going to say, that's not bad.
But they got greedy and wanted more. So 6 months later, Hopper and his sons planned another heist. Yes, at the same place.
Okay.
So this time, they attacked
Haven't they ever heard of Fool Me Once?
No. There are a lot of people who don't, and I will get to one after this one. So this time, they attacked a guard carrying $1.1 million in cash and checks from an armored truck. They then used smoke bombs to conceal their escape. I just picture like a magician doing that, and then like you see it running. So I know he was caught because I found his appeal case online. He was looking for a 1-level offense reduction. I didn't really know what that meant, and it didn't really go into that.
Yeah.
And it also never said what his actual offense was. But either way, his appeal was denied and his sentence remained.
Okay.
So don't know what the sentence was, but he was not good. The next happened at Treasure Island. So in 2000, Treasure Island was hit 3 times by the same man. Reginald Johnson was able to rob Treasure Island successfully in July and October, where he burst into the casino, firing 2 shots and making out with $30,000. Did you think I was saying making out like kissing? See, when I wrote that, I said, I wonder what Mackenzie's going to think.
I did until you said the money, and then I knew what you meant.
Yep.
But initially, I was like, he's just started making out with people? Like, what?
Hey. So he even shot at a security guard who he ended up injuring, thankfully not life-threatening. He tried again in December, but was shot at, hit, and injured by security guards. He was then tracked down and arrested, where he later pled guilty to all 3 Treasure Island robbery charges and an attempted murder charge, the shooting at the guard.
Yes.
While watching the footage of him shooting at the security guard, Johnson was laughing. It's not funny, Mackenzie!
Sorry.
He was
just picturing a doofus.
Yeah.
You
He was
know?
ultimately sentenced to 130 years.
Damn.
Yup. Then there's
Not laughing now.
Mandalay Bay. In 2005, 2 armed men wearing masks approached the change booth at Mandalay Bay. They fired warning shots into the ceiling, forced the workers to the ground, and held up the cashier with a gun. They stole an undisclosed amount of money and escaped in a car that had been parked outside. They have never been caught, and the amount of money is still unknown.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of the successful ones. But so the heist for tonight is the most bizarre of the bunch.
Okay.
So the one I'm going to talk about tonight also occurred at Stardust.
Okay.
So a little about the casino. Construction on the Stardust began in 1955 and officially opened on July 1st, 1958. At this time, it was one of the biggest hotels in Vegas with more than 1,000 rooms.
Damn.
I know.
I feel like, though, that's not that much these days.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
So in 58,
Yeah.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
Now I feel like that's
That's not a lot.
chump change.
That's small.
It quickly became known for its show Lido de Paris.
Nice.
Thank you. Which was the first topless French production in Las Vegas.
Okay.
In 1985, a man named Boyd Gaming came in and bought the Stardust. Boyd Gaming.
Oh my God.
He put an end to Lido de Paris. Then in 1992, Siegfried and Roy took the stage with their show Enter the Night. So these are the guys who, on October 3rd, 2003, Manticore, their white tiger, viciously attacked Roy Horn. So they were well known for their live animal shows, which focused around white lions and white tigers. At the time of the incident, they were no longer performing at the Stardust, but rather were performing at the Mirage Resort and Casino.
the Mirage, the MGM, and the Bellagio.
Oh, there you go. I told you I might say it. By the date of the incident in 2003, the pair had been performing together and with exotic animals for 44 years.
God damn.
So I know this isn't my story, but it's our podcast, so I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
So, and it is in Vegas, so kind of scary.
Go for it.
So there was a part of the show where Roy is left on stage with their 7-year-old white tiger, Montecore.
Mm-hmm.
Roy would hold up a microphone to him for him to say hello to the audience. Animal handler of the show, Chris Lawrence, would describe his version of events later to The Hollywood Reporter in 2020.
Ooh.
He said that things with the show started to go awry pretty much right away. Montecore wandered off from his usual mark, which is when Roy made his error. Lawrence said, quote, "What Roy did was, instead of walking Montecore in a circle, as is usually done, he just used his arm to steer him back into his body, in a pirouette motion. Montecore's face was right in Roy's midsection. But Roy, not following the correct procedure, it fed into confusion and rebellion. So from this point, Roy tried to improvise and bring the show back to where it had been, so he asked Montecore at that point if he would like to say hello to the audience.
Oh.
But Montecore didn't want to say hello.
No.
Instead, he bit at Roy's arm and grabbed his sleeve in his mouth. Roy repeatedly said no and was tapping him on the nose with the microphone trying to get the animal to let go. Montecore then swiped at Roy's feet, which knocked him to the floor, where the beast then leapt at him, biting into his neck and carrying him off stage. It ended up taking 4 men and a fire extinguisher to finally have Montecore let go. So it's a bit graphic at this point, so if you don't want to hear, skip ahead like 15 seconds. Okay, you had your time. So at this point, the stage was completely soaked with Roy's blood as Montecore had sliced through his vertebrae, which had severed an artery, cutting off the blood to the right side of his brain.
Those chompers are not something to fuck around with.
Causing Roy to have a stroke after the attack. And okay, as Roy was in the ambulance being taken to the hospital, literally dying, he said, "Montecore is a great cat. Make sure no harm comes to Montecore."
Oh, he knew it was an accident.
I know. So as Roy was taken away, Lawrence, the animal handler, recalled that the tiger had calmed down and had returned to his kennel for his normal dinner routine.
That's great. I mean, I, like, in those kinds of situations, you know, obviously you don't want anyone to get hurt, but it's also like you're dealing with a wild animal.
Right.
And to punish animals for
being animals.
Yes. Is...
Nope, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. So the Mirage closed the 13-year show in response to the tragedy that had occurred.
Did he die?
Roy did survive, but suffered a severed spine, massive blood loss, and other major injuries which permanently impaired his motor and verbal abilities.
Oh my God.
In 2004, Roy told people that Montecore had actually tried to save his life by dragging him to safety after he had the stroke. The pair, Siegfried and Roy, eventually retired, making their farewell appearance on April 23, 2010. Montecore lived to the age of 17, dying after a brief illness on March 19, 2004.
Oh, I forgot that was the cat.
Yeah, Montecore is the cat.
And I was like, wait, are we not going to address the fact that it was only 17? Okay.
Old age for a cat.
Yeah. No, makes sense now.
Okay, so sorry for that short case. Now we'll go back to the Stardust.
No, that was interesting.
I thought so too. I couldn't stop. So the same year that Siegfried and Roy started to perform, on September 22nd, 1992, one of the, quote, most brazen and effortless casino heists took place.
Ooh.
34-year-old William John Bill Brennan worked as a cashier at Stardust.
Every fucking bland-ass name.
And all first names.
All first names.
He was described by his former boss, Scott Shetler, as a, quote, humble and pleasant loner with a cat who was an honest and accurate ticket writer.
See, that's your ticket.
Is what, being boring and having a cat?
Yes. Be inconspicuous.
Right.
Under the radar.
Don't let people know anything.
Exactly.
He did such a good job that Shetler actually promoted him to cashier. Now in his new position as cashier, Bill Brennan was assigned to count the money from the sports book that day. So it's literally sports competitions and betting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was a busy night. The sports book was full of gamblers who were there for Monday Night Football. So I read a blog by a man named Nolan Dalla. He said that he's a sports guy, I'm not, so I took his words. So he said that this particular day was a very important day in the sports betting world. It was the 3rd week of the NFL season, which would have been a very busy sportsbook week.
Oh.
Wagers would have been higher than normal weeks, and the Monday night game had been between the New York Giants and the Chicago Bears.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because by, like, the 3rd week, they would have seen enough people play that, like, they kind of get a feel for who's doing well, who's not.
Look at you, so sporty.
I know some things.
So this would have been a big game with large bets, and apparently, according to Dalla, this was one of the richest cash days of the year at the casino sportsbook. So
who was playing again?
The Giants and the Bears. The Bears. So Brennan did his job.
The Giant Bears?
They could be giant bears. So Brennan did his job and counted the $50,000 that had been collected that night. He then took the money and casually walked outside with it all. Half of it was in cash and half in chips. The moment his crime was found out, the casino alerted police, who raced to Brennan's apartment. Neither he nor his cat were there.
Hell yeah, get the fuck out!
The police did find some books and other literature that went into how to change one's identity and move overseas.
A planner! Finally, that's why he got away with it, because he dipped the fuck out!
He planned. Like, he was in, out, and gone.
Yes.
All that is known was that Brennan was supposed to turn the money in at about 2 a.m. At 1:30 a.m., he was still at the hotel. Metro Fraud Division Lieutenant John Greenwood believes that about 1:30 is when Brennan left the hotel, about 30 minutes prior to the time that he would have had to turn in the money. So over the next few weeks, the case went cold. Typically, fugitives are caught pretty quickly when they try to make contact with family or friends, but apparently Brennan didn't really have any, which is kind of sad. But
it is, but I'm telling you, under the radar.
Right. So Lieutenant Greenwood said, quote, "We've entered this in the National Crime Information Center computer."
I bet you that is not the first time he's done that. I bet he's a seasoned criminal.
Who, Brennan?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get into it. Back to the quote. So that any agency that would stop him, perhaps not knowing that he was wanted and check his name, would reveal that he has a warrant in this state. The FBI placed him on its most wanted list.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
And his case was even featured on America's Most Wanted, but to this day, he has never been caught.
Good, because that's excessive.
Well, I mean, he stole $500,000.
Okay, here's my thing. I was thinking about it when I saw what your topic was. And I was like, I know we're going to get into this discussion of why I think robberies are fine.
Why, Mackenzie?
But only robberies of really rich people, like these guys.
Oh, okay.
And
so, like, eat the rich kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
As long as no one is hurt, killed. And robberies of us plain Janes, don't do that. We don't have any money.
We don't have money.
We're
Please
struggling
don't take
just
it.
like you are. That fucked up because you're getting from people that are already low.
Right.
But you get from people that are already high, yeah, they're going to be pissed because you beat them. That's about it. It's going to be an ego bruise.
No, that's absolutely what some people said. They're like, places don't like to report that they were outsmarted by someone.
Correct. So, he's fine.
So those who knew Brennan said that he never seemed capable of committing any sort of crime.
Of course he didn't. That was the point.
So he had never committed a crime beforehand. The case was closed and dismissed in 2006 by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Nevada after the Stardust closed, and Brennan was dropped from the most wanted list at this point.
Oh, he got lucky.
The Stardust then imploded on March 13th, 2007 at 2:33 a.m.
That was also in one of the Ocean's movies.
What, that the building imploded?
Yeah, that's what they do when they're building.
Yeah.
They got to get rid of the old one.
Yep, exactly. So the money and Brennan have never been seen or found, and there has been no visual evidence of his departure, which is weird given how many cameras are in Vegas, as I shared at the beginning. It is just especially weird as virtually every square inch of that casino is monitored and recorded 24/7.
Yeah.
And cops looked through everything, didn't see him leaving, didn't see where he went, just gone.
He's just gone.
They weren't able, they can't even see him in the building, they can't see him leaving the building, nothing. Just gone.
You got to wonder, put on a disguise.
Maybe, but how would you carry out that many bags of stuff?
You don't.
But where does your stuff go then?
You leave the clothes. You don't.
No, your money. Your money's not. It's not just like a credit card.
Well,
you have bags of it.
If you are a woman or dress as a woman and you carry a big purse,
that's true.
I mean, how do you think we sneak in snacks to the movie theater?
Valid. Okay. So of course, with any good crime, we have the theories. The first and most popular is Brennan started to hang out with an unidentified heavy gambler. So by all accounts, Brennan was described as your average nice guy, mostly a loner who really only hung out with his cat. Robert Saber, who at one time had managed the sportsbook and casino, said that Brennan was mild-mannered, not the type you would expect to mastermind a heist.
That's the point.
But that started to change his mild-manneredness when Brennan started hanging out with one of the major gamblers who frequented the casino.
Oh.
The casino workers knew this gambler and described him as shady, someone that no one trusted. Saber said that, quote, Bill started hanging out with a very shady character. I used to tell him, Bill, that guy's going to get you into nothing but trouble. And sure enough, Bill got in trouble. He used Bill's name a lot in that little sentence.
So what if he did it for the friend and then the friend offed him and that's why he's like...
I'll keep going with my theory.
Okay.
So at some point, this gambler, who I will call Mr. X, that's not his name, that's just how I'm going to call him.
Okay.
So Mr. X and Brennan meet. It was after this meeting that Brennan's coworkers started to notice some weird behavior going on with him. He began collecting different books about how one could change their identity. He also became even more withdrawn at work, so more withdrawn than he already was. Within just a few weeks of Brennan's disappearance, Mr. X disappeared as well, and also hasn't been seen since. This led many to believe that the two had planned the whole robbery together and were working together. It was speculated that Mr. X probably had connections with organized crime or the mob and used a man on the inside, Brennan, to pull off a heist. He could have been the one putting these ideas into Brennan's mind and even could have set up a new identity for him elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And this connection to the organized crime world potentially could explain why Brennan was able to get the right documents needed to start over his life somewhere else as someone
I think
new.
about that all the time. I'm like, how do you do that?
I feel like nowadays you can't.
I feel it's got to be harder.
Because this was in 92.
Well, and I feel like, too, that, like, because of how tracked everybody is.
Especially after September 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People do. It's so terrible. People will find infants that passed and steal their identity.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So this theory with, like, the con man and all that stuff, or the gambler, is what many people, especially Brennan's coworkers, have settled on. They think that he got tied up with organized crime, then maybe he didn't want to split the money at the end with Mr. X, or Mr. X realized that Brennan had served his purpose, so he was killed. Just like you said.
Yeah.
Saber said, quote, "For Bill Brennan to pull that off and never contact any of his family, it is beyond my wildest imagination. I just don't think it could have happened." So maybe this gambler was Brennan's accomplice and after the heist killed him, hid his body, and kept the money for himself. So exactly what you said. Got the man on the inside to do it and then offed him. And then as your case said, it's very easy to hide a body in the desert.
Yeah. I feel like if it was me, I would explain to my family, maybe not what I was going to do, but at the very least that I was going to be gone.
Right.
And that, you know, I might say like, you know, some sort of inconspicuous way of like checking mail.
Right.
And having some letter that has like a code or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Know?
Come up with your like safe word.
Because that's my thing. I was like, I could never just dip out.
No.
Like I
you are
can't do
too
that.
social of a person too. You'd have to talk to someone and you get found.
Oh my God, yeah, that would be the first problem. But I mostly meant because like my mom would be beside herself.
Oh yeah, like yeah. No, there's no way.
Yeah, and also because I can't keep a secret to save my fucking life.
No, you can't. You want to hear what I did? You're never gonna believe it. So another theory is that Brennan paid off a few security personnel so he could make his escape undetected. But there's literally zero evidence that this could have happened or even that something like this had happened. So theory out the window. Others theorize that maybe he just changed his appearance and identity but still lives and works in Vegas. I was like, I don't think so.
That would be risky.
Real brazen.
I mean, you would have to really change it up.
Yeah.
And keep it up.
Yes, exactly. But then others still think that he did change his identity, but he left the country, most likely ending up in Mexico or Canada.
Yeah.
All in the same continent.
Yeah.
So since this blatant and easy heist, sportsbooks have implemented new security controls to make sure that something like this never happens again. And so far, no sportsbooks have been robbed internationally since. The crime remains unsolved and is one of the most interesting unsolved heists in Las Vegas. And Brennan remains as one of the only successful masterminds who committed an inside job in Las Vegas history who got away with it. So there you have it, some heists in Vegas.
That's cray-cray.
I didn't know what to cover, and I was like looking, and the past 2 times I've done it, I've done like spooky stuff, and I saw that you had names on there, so I was like, what can I do? And I was like, Vegas.
Yes. So there's another case I want to do, and both names are Heather.
Oh.
And I thought that this other case was Nevada, so I started watching my Forensic Files episode, and it was like, blah, 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 Illinois. And I was like, what?
Well, your person was in Illinois. Not her, but your other guy.
Right, but then I was like, well, wait a minute. What did I put? Why would I put that for, again, why would I put that for Nevada? Like, I know I do some weird things, but I'm not that stupid. And it was because I didn't. It was somebody else's name. And I realized that, well, there's 2 Heathers, so of course. And so I put Illinois on our list.
Oh, okay.
So that I could do that one.
I mean, Heather is a popular name, so.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, so that's Vegas, that's Nevada, that's a scary state.
If I was going to commit a crime, I would want it to be a heist.
Yeah, I think I would too.
No bodily injury.
No injury heist.
I mean, I might get a couple of bruises, but that's natural.
You will get a couple of bruises. That's not, I might. Like, you will get bruises.
Yeah, I'll be so pumped up on adrenaline.
You'll wake up the next morning, you'll be like, ow.
I know how I get when I start to get nervous and how, like, manic I get and just like, oh, we're going to go fast.
Let me take my medicine. Hold on.
I don't know.
My favorite thing is looking at people's bruises and touching and going, does that hurt?
Yeah, you and Ben.
It's fun. for us.
I'm sure it is.
It's more fun that way.
For you,
I know.
you will get smacked and then you will have a bruise.
Well, thanks for listening. Rate and review us. We'll send you a sticker.
Yeah, man.
Follow us on all the things.
All the
A
things.
scarystatepodcast@gmail.com for our email.
Yes.
Well, stay scary.
Stay safe.